All right. Thank you for subscribing. I wanted to show you a knife that I've been working on putting a handle on. And a young friend of mine made a couple of knife blades, I think, out of old files. And he did a real good job. He made a nice thick blade, nice design. I liked it. And I had told him that I'd help him with putting handles on them. I enjoyed doing that. And I had sharpened some of his knives for him and things like that. Well, I got these knives, two of them that he had made months ago, and haven't had time to do anything with them until recently. And so I started putting a handle on this one, and I'm not quite done. I'm all but done. It's just a little finish work. You can see kind of a bushcraft style or something like that. But I'll tell you and I'll show you as we go through it what I have done. This has some spacer material, and it's got some stainless steel pins and a piece of copper tubing for a lanyard at the back if he wants. And it's his design for the knife style and the handle. And so I just put some scales on it. And I'll show you. This is what the knife looked like before. This is, of course, the bigger version, but they were identical in style and all of that. You can see on this even the lines from the file itself. You can see that that's still in there. And this is how he presented this to me, and the smaller one was just like that. And I have a good friend who works in exotic wood for different things, and he gives me the scraps that he doesn't need, and I have so many of them I'll never get to all of them for knife projects. But this is a type of wood, I think it's pronounced sapele, S-A-P-E-L-E, and it's in the mahogany family. And I had these that made perfect knife scales, and I had another set that I put on here. And so I figure out where I want this knife handle to go in terms of situation on the blade blank, and then I cut it out to shape. But what you see in this knife is some spacer material, and I've got spacer material here that I bought that from a knife supply store, and traced out what I needed on that. And so that ends up going between the steel and the wood on both sides. And of course, what I did is I chose some places to drill holes so I can put pins in this. That's what I did on this one. And I'll show you what I used on this. This is some stainless steel pin material. Now, that's not how I purchased it. In fact, I didn't purchase this at all. This is a bigger piece, bigger diameter, smaller diameter. This is actually stuff that I cut off of some restaurant grade food handling equipment that was being trashed. And I looked for things that I can use. I saw this kind of stuff on there, and I kept that food grade. And I can tell you that that equipment, that stainless steel equipment, has sat out in my yard for years before I finally used it. This is stainless. You can see that they're in a lick of rust on it. It must have a very high chromium content or something, but it was used in a restaurant business. And so I decided to use that for the pins on this. And so you have to do some grinding. I had to do some cutting, but I'll determine on this one where I want to put these pins. And I might put two here. And then on the back of this, I put a piece of copper tubing. And so I have some copper tubing I have dealt in scrap at times. And this came off of an old air conditioning unit. And you can see it's copper tubing, small diameter, and it felt like it was the right size for what I wanted to do. And so I put that in there, and you epoxy the whole thing together, pinned together. And then you have to cut it and sand it and smooth it and get it down to shape. This isn't exactly a knife making tutorial, but I wanted to show you the process on that. I had laying with this a solid piece of copper, and it's heavy copper wire. And the only reason I found this was in a parking lot. Picked it up so that no tire would get punctured. We had a huge storm here not too many months ago, and tons of electrical work on the high wire lines, the electric lines, and there's all kinds of trash laying around in parking lots and stuff, and this probably came from a downed power line or something a lineman cut off. But I might use that as a copper pin. It's the right size. It looks like it's about the same diameter as the stainless steel pin I was using. So I may elect to go with copper instead of stainless. It's really not hard to get pin material. You can get welding rods, or you can get brass rods at hardware stores and things like that. I use all different kinds. I've used nails to pin things together for rough stuff that I didn't really care about. But that's the process, going from there to this. And I'm going to give this one to the guy and see if he likes the wood, and if he wants the second one to be a duplicate, or I'll find some different kind of wood. Personally, I really like using oak for things like that. I think it looks good, and it's easy to get a hold of, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just like working with wood. So that's the process. I hope you'll subscribe, and I thank you for watching.